Here we go. Game 2. We saw Detonation Focus Me, or rather Cloud9 versus Danwon Kia. Now we get to watch Detonation Focus Me. And if you are a fan of the LJL, you may remember and notice this international ritual. Saros used to do it as well. The perfect measurement, the flawless accuracy that one must have their mouse and keyboard positioned. You wonder why you suck at League? You didn't measure right, folks. That's the secret to success.
It's kind of true. I did the same thing when I was a pro. No, seriously, when you have the comfort of your home or your office or wherever you play from a daily basis, going on stage, you want to make sure everything is perfect. Even the slightest push of the keyboard or mouse doesn't feel too good or in the right spots, your arm angle, yeah, everything has to be pretty much perfect, these players. That's why lots of them bring like towels just in case they have sweaty hands, or they have like measuring tapes, all these things.
Perfect is the bottom line. Of course, we are getting introduced to two teams you may have not seen before. Let's kick off with Detonation Focus Me. The team, of course, one of the historically most successful teams, the most successful team in the LJL. Not quite the sole representative, but just about outside of a Rampage representation. And a V3, that's Evie in the top lane, Steel in the jungle, Arya in the mid lane, Yutapon AD carry, and Kazu on support. Now, one big thing to note here, if you've watched the LJL in the past, Saros, their mid laner, the Heimerdinger legend, the GP Pentakill King, is on the bench this time around. He's a sub mid laner. So Arya, coming in, big shoes to fill, big expectations, but what we've seen from the domestic season shows that he is a pretty powerful laner, and from what you've seen in solo queue, Kadro, it looks like he might be a bit of a powerhouse.
Yeah, definitely in the LGL, kind of a safe mid laner. He almost has like a 10 KDA over so many games, which is shocking to me. I've been watching a lot of his solo queue games. I'm a big Arya fan, a big Arya Steel fan. I think this mid jungle is the core of this team. The strongest members on the team, I think, are Steel and Arya and Steel popping off in EU solo queue, I must say. Obviously, I haven't seen their scrims, but that's definitely what I'm looking at in this team to get the ball rolling, because as we've seen in the meta, things like Morgana, Rumble, these aggressive junglers, AP junglers that want to get ahead and look for side lane dives, that's what I'm looking at, and that's the key for this team, I think.
But one thing that we learned last game is that bot lane certainly can also be a powerhouse from what we saw from Sven on Lethality Varus. The question is, of course, is that something that Yutapon wants to bring to the table? One of the most veteran players on the stage has been with Detonation Focus Me just about forever, and he's going to be going up against the opposite side, Infinity Esports, White Lotus. This is a man... Gillette Infinity, rather. This is a man who has been around. I remember back in plans when he was playing for Lion, I thought this guy was going to take down Sneaky. He is a legend in his own right. Two of the strongest respective AD carries from each of their regions, and he also has a bit of rookie talent backing him up.
Yeah, Gillette Infinity, we got Bugha, Solid Snake, Cody in the mid lane, White Lotus, the AD carry we've been talking about, and their support, Ackerman, who won Outstanding Rookie, I believe. He was the key for this team in the sense that he was the rookie, bringing all this aggression to the team, moving up the top side with Solid Snake, who guys get the ball rolling. And I think the key for both these teams that I've seen is both these teams are really scrappy. They like to fight, they like to dive. When I was watching the finals, I think that the Infinity was diving so much, they reverse swept it. They look for so many mid dives, so many aggressive dives with things like Volibear. So I'm excited to see how they perform. But on the other side of the map, Detonation Focus Me, also a very explosive and aggressive team. And I think that if you look at both of these teams in Group C, with Cloud9 and Damwon in their group as the favorites, you'd argue, to get out. Top 2 gets out of the groups, obviously in round 1. They have to topple each other, you must say, in a way, right? Detonation Focus Me and Gillette Infinity have to make sure that they're one step above their opponent to make sure they can start contesting either Cloud9 or Damwon to contest to get out of the group.
And you know, in MSI, you see it every time we come back from break, the impossible possible. MSI has been a tournament full of upsets as long as it has been around. Now the question is, can one of these teams upset a Cloud9 or Danwon Kia? Now Danwon Kia feeling pretty far removed, but a single win over a team like Cloud9 can cement your path to victory to making it out of this group. But before you can even have that conversation, you have to 2-0. You have to find the wins against your opposition here. If Infinity cannot beat Detonation Focus Me, if Detonation Focus Me cannot beat Infinity, whichever team loses out here feels like a death sentence in this group.
Yeah, and it's all on paper, right? These are the expectations set on these teams. Now, I'm a big DFM fan from looking at their games. I was a fan of V3 last year in the Worlds for the LGL. I think this team, this region has strong players. I think they're very aggressive, very talented mechanically in team fights. So that's what I'm excited to see from the side of Detonation Focus Me. But you're completely right. They have to topple their opponent. They have to make sure they're definitely cemented at least the third best and they take down the fourth handily so that when they go against teams like Cloud9 and Damwon, they can contest to get out of the group.
Oh, and Kadro. After last game, I mean, you heard it from Wadid on the desk, like, the Danwon draft was a little disrespectful.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I still loved it. I loved the sheer amount of CC, the sheer amount of poke. It looked miserable to play against. And I wonder, now that, as you've said, we have two teams who want to fight, two teams who want to force when it comes to objectives, when it comes to fights, when it comes to finding leads. I want to see how explosive the meta can get. Because Morgana, can be explosive when you have Predator and you're flashing over a wall, but
Yep.
for the most part, she sits back, she throws a binding, she sees what happens. What happens if we get a rumble through the draft? What happens if some of these more aggressive champions come into the mix?
And that's the key thing, because I think if you look at especially the jungle role on previous patches, in the finals, in the semis of all of these regions, we've seen Hecarim, Udyr, Olaf, Lilia, Resident Sleeper, right? But now we've got the Pogs, we've got Morgana, we've got Rumble, we've got Rumblelords, we've got Qiyana, we've got Tristana mids, all these exciting picks. So these teams have needed to adapt, and mid jungle is where you need to adapt. And if you look at the side of Infinity, I think Cody is almost to me like a control mage one trick in a sense. I mean, you look at his top plate, he has like Zoe, Azir, Syndra, Orianna, especially Zoe, I must say, almost like a one trick.
I mean, it was banned against him every game in the finals for good reason. He is the Zoe king in Latin America.
Exactly. So you have, I mean, we saw last game, Showmaker on the Zoe was popping off, right? So it still could be a good pick, but can he play aggressive laners? Maybe things like the Lucian, the Qiyana, and the Tristana, which we've actually seen out of Arya. He's been playing things like Akali, Qiyana, Kassadin, Ryze, Lucian, these aggressive side laners, which are the key thing. I think 1-3-1 is quite powerful in this meta with a strong mid jungle. You snowball to sides, and then you get into the 1-3-1. Push out sides like we saw Khan do last game, collapse in mid, and then start the team fight. So we'll have to see how these teams have adapted coming in to MSI.
Yeah, and I think inevitably, if you're looking on the side of Infinity Gillette, I'm not going to say it all comes down to one man, but sometimes it does feel like it. If you look back to the finals, the Senna Tahm Kench, not what you want to see this player on. White Lotus, king of the carries. 8 games, of course, on the Kai'Sa, 6 on the Xayah. This man likes a little bit of self-peel. This man likes the ability to put out damage in a fight. We're not going to see any Jins this time around. It is going to be about a champion that can scrap.
Yeah, and then look at their supports next to them as well. You know, you got Ackerman and Kazu. Both of these players play engaged supports. Although it's the meta, this is what they want to do. They want to get Rell, they want to get Alistar, they want to get Thresh, Alistar, Rakan, these champs. Push out their lane, maybe get one wave of prio, look to roam mid, look to roam top with their jungler, and start stumbling the game. Although that's kind of meta, these two definitely prefer this more than going for things like perhaps a Tahm Kench to neutralize a lane, or even things like a Morgana to neutralize a lane, a Galio. They want to go engage supports rather than defensive counter-engage supports. So both these bot lanes are what we want to focus on. I think there is a key, as well as the mid-jungle for the side of the FM.
And of course, in that sense, Kazu is a big question. Kazu, of course, formerly on the support staff of this team, has subbed in. They are waiting for one of the residency periods to work out for one of their Korean pros, Steel and Arya, both Korean. They also have Gang, normally their support player, sitting on the bench while they wait for this to work out. So moving forward, you're going to see 3 Koreans on this LJL lineup, but for now, Kazu subbing in. And he's had a solid split. Of course, they won out. He is overall a very solid player, but when you look at his champion pool, there is not a single defensive support to be seen. As you mentioned already, frankly, I love his set. I love anytime. I saw it life in the LCK. I saw it from Kazu in the LJL. I love me some set support. Is it good? I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. It does cool stuff.
Yeah, and where we focus on, especially like last game, we're focusing on mid-jungle. We want to see the moves, and although that did happen, I think the carry from the last game was Khan on the top lane. You know, when you have that top pressure and you have the Gnar that can move into the jungle and solo kill the enemy jungler, it really negates the mid-jungle synergy, right? If you get your jungler in mid are on an even footing, then obviously there's a lot of contesting around the river. But if one side laner is ahead, like we saw Khan on the Gnar, having perma push, getting perma vision in the enemy jungle, it just puts your jungler a step behind, which means that the enemy mid jungle can take over and they get a lot more freedom on the map. So both these players really like Gnar, EVI and Bugha X, they really, really like Gnar. So if this kind of thing happens similar to last game, then I think their mid jungle are going to struggle.
Yeah, and does Gnar continue to be super popular? It's been hit, it's been nerfed repeatedly over the last few patches. So is that still going to be the big priority? Is there something from the top lane meta that we have not seen yet?
I'm just excited to see the games progress, right? I'm just excited to see how the meta progress, and excited to see how the groups progress.
I mean, I think it's a good call, and I think one thing that you should consider at home, and something that we consider all the time, when it comes, international comparison is really hard. You also have to think about the competition that they're going up with. So for a lot of these teams, well, similar to what we saw in the Daewon Kia, you saw in LCS finals, Fudge weathered the Alphari storm incredibly well. Blabber backed him up. He couldn't do the same against Khan. And so while we look at these teams and we see so many individual players from both the side of Gillette Infinity, as well as from Detonation Focus Me, there may end up being just a skill difference in lane that becomes unbeatable. So that's something we're going to have to track. We can set expectations for bot lane. We can talk about jungle. We can talk about the most important players, but that's based on what they did domestically. So much changes with the patch changes, so much changes with the competition when you set foot on the MSI stage.
Yeah, and I think both these regions, international events, they've never really made it to the main event, their main group stage, right? And all this is round one, similar to Plains, which have meshed well with the major regions, almost like kind of counteracting the Plains so everyone's together. If they can get out of this group, one of these teams, that's an insane stepping stone, because you've got LCS and you've got LCK in the same group as you. If you can do that as a wildcard region, take them down, that's a staple coming into round 2 of MSI.
I mean, that's massive. That's career defining. You look back to 2016 and ANX, that's that was it. They made their name off that. The LCL has been a threat to be reckoned with ever since. You know, you always give respect to teams like the Unicorns of Love, partially because of what Albus Nox Luna was able to achieve in 2016. Knocking a team like G2, the European favorite, out in groups was a crazy, crazy achievement. Of course, it's still a long way off. It's only these teams' first games, but it's always something that has to be in the back of these players' minds. I think every player who doesn't expect to win the tournament says, hey, we're going to international tournaments just to get some experience, just to learn, just to show what we're made of. But I think in the back of every player's head, you have to know that they're thinking, but what if we do it? What if we win?
The what if is so amazing to me in international events. You think of Kaboom. You think of the EDG loss as well. You think of the INTZ taking down. There's so many like wildcard regions or just minor regions making huge upsets on the international stage. And one of these two teams could be one of those teams in a group with Cloud9 and Damwon.
Here we go, Kadril. Gillette Infinity, Detonation Focus Me. We are heading into picks and bans. Oh, and so many meta questions are going to get answered over the course of today. And so many of them might change by tomorrow.
There we go. We're into picks and bans. And now the priority is a question mark for me because to me, it seems like Rumble is the strongest champion in the game right now. It seems like the most first pick worthy champion. And Lee Sin again banned on blue side. So that basically tells me that Lee Sin is stronger on red side than blue side. That could be because of the flex on solo lanes. And then when you blind pick your top or mid, he goes into either of them. Whereas on blue side, first pick Lee Sin can get countered. I mean, in top lane, just off the top of my head, maybe Poppy lane could be quite difficult for Lee Sin, something like this. And any kind of mid laner that can contest the push when he does max that E. But the bans are coming out. Morgana taken away. We saw that first pick the last game. For the side of Damwon Gaming, Zoe taken away from Cody, like we expected. Almost like a one trick at this point. Banned away from him in the finals. And Lee Sin taken off the board. And there goes the Thresh, which supports the Jinx of Helios.
Yeah, and naturally, of course, the follow-up question is, what does Cody go to next, as the Rumble has also been banned away? Nidalee was the other premier jungler taken off the board. I have a feeling that was mostly for Canyon, though. Very few players internationally who really can make their mark on the Nidalee pick. Canyon and Blabber, two of them. See what Solid Snake and Steel want to go for. It was so long in the Chem Tank meta, Kadril, that it's hard to know what to expect from so many of these junglers when they have to get back to playing champions that don't just kind of mash an item active and go in.
Yeah, definitely. The mashing item, the base damage was way too high from those champions. We'll have to see what the first pick is. This Thresh ban kind of suggests to me that maybe DFM want to first rotate something like an Alistar. We'll have to see how that progresses. But the first pick priority will be interesting to me as well, because most of the OPs that we saw first picked, like the Morgana, Rumble, the Zoe's taken out, and it's an Udyr.
It's an Udyr. All right, well, Chem Tank took a hit, but Udyr, of course, still a very powerful champion, still has an incredibly fast clear speed, can be a nuisance in the early game. And for Solid Snake, not a bad look, allows him to set up some of his lanes for success, most certainly. But now, DFM debating here. And for Ebby, it's going to be a Renekton. Now, internationally, this has been a flex pick into mid, mostly exclusively for Showmaker, but perhaps it's something that DFM are willing to try out.
Now, will Steel go for Nidalee or Lilia? I mean, he needs to go for an AP jungler here if he's pairing it with a Renekton. Or they can pick up the Kai'Sa, which is both of these AD carries bread and butter. White Lotus and Utapon, most played Kai'Sa, both sides, and definitely comfort for either of these players.
And interestingly as well, because both supports also love the Rel. So are they willing to just lock in the Rel here for Ackerman to take it away? The Kai'Sa Rel combo, yes, not as prevalent when we've been thinking about the Rumbles and the Lee Sins and all the exciting new picks, but the old classics are certainly still very powerful.
Yeah, and Kai'Sa pairs really well with all engaged supports, right? The Rel is one of the best because of the combination with the mechanics with the ultimate, but Alistar works really well as well. And interesting that they first rotated Kai'Sa. I mean, Varus is up, Jinx is up, Kalista Thresh is down, yes, but we saw C9 first rotate the Varus, matched by the Jhin from Damwon, which was questionable in a sense when you're drafting Jhin, Leona, Morgana, Zoe, way too much CC, not much late game insurance, but the Kai'Sa is definitely going to have an engaged support by our side. But Bugha picking up the Gnar to match into the Renekton, very standard. We've seen this over the last couple of months. The Xayah matched into the Kai'Sa. We've also seen this over the last couple of months when Kai'Sa goes for the assassination on the enemy AD carry. You can negate that with the Featherstorm, right?
And we literally saw it for all of 2019. This is a bot lane classic, the modern bot lane classic. And options here now coming in for DFM. The Akali locked in. Is it? I love to see it, frankly.
Yeah, that's probably going mid for Arya, but I'm just surprised they didn't pick up either support or jungle here. You'd expect an AP jungle match with the Renekton or a support match with the Kai'Sa. Maybe they're confident in picking mid here, pick the odd one out, because now, what does Infinity ban away? Do they ban away supports or junglers? They're going to have to target one. I would imagine they're looking at jungle.
When Twisted Fate immediately banned away, I like this. Pick the Akali, immediately ban the TF, one of the most conventional counters to the pick. And now what is the response? You talked about it already. The luxury that DFM have playing on the red side is that they will get to just insta-slam a support on 4 if the pool is banned out at all.
Yeah, I think they're going to look to counter-pick support here. Makes the most sense. Jungler on 4. Save last pick for Kazu, which is probably like if they blind pick an Alistar for the Xayah, maybe they can just go for something like the Gragas, but the jungler's going to get banned out. There's the Lilia. I wouldn't be surprised to see perhaps a Nidalee ban as well. Although Steel hasn't played much Nidalee in the LJL, it's definitely a powerhouse pick alongside Renekton. And I really like this adaptation from DFM because it basically means that Infinity have to choose who to ban away, and Steel must have the confidence to know that he has a jungler in his pocket to pick up regardless of the bans.
Well, and from what we've heard, Kindred is a reasonably high prio jungler, and given that you have what would appear to be at least an AP mid laner, you'd think that that might be the follow-up ban here coming in from Gillette Infinity. Really debating, though, what they want to take off. Of course, hard to know what's been super popular for either of these teams in scrims, so there may be some secrets in the meta that we have not seen yet.
Yeah, and I think Infinity Esports are going to round out their comp probably with a control mage, as we'd expect from Cody. Maybe something like the Syndra or the Orianna into the Akali. Probably Syndra, a better pick than the Orianna, because we've seen lots of Akalis picked into Orianna, getting loads of solo kills. FPX comes to mind already. But like you said, Dracos, the Rel priority. Most played for both these supports as well, so denying the Rel perhaps from the side of Infinity. And then they are blind picking their support, which means that they have high priority on the support, and they don't mind getting counterpicked. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an Alistar perhaps come out here for Ackerman into the Rel, or things like the Gragas.
And it feels like for all this tension around the bot lane matchup, ultimately we have something that feels pretty standard to what we are used to seeing in playoffs pretty much across the world. Xayah Alistar up against a Kai'Sa Rel. Most of the time, I think you give it to the Kai'Sa Rel simply because of the synergy that we talked about, but each of these champions powerful in their own right. Something that we'll keep our eye on because Infinity taking their time, debating. Cody going to get his hands on the Sylas. And I would love it if it was a Bard.
Oh, you would definitely
or a
love
Pike.
it. But
I would lose it. But I think it's for sure an Alistar.
You love the hover, Dracos. You love the Bard. It's definitely going to be an Alistar in my eyes. I would expect some kind of engaged support. Nautilus, Leon, Alistar, we've all been hovering. I think this is going to be the key thing, but there's a lot of standard stuff going on here, Dracos. We've got Gnar into Renekton. We've got Sylas into Akali. We've got Xayah into Rel. And now we're about to find out what jungle matchup we have. But there's the Alistar locked in. Is Steel going to opt into the Nidalee? He has a lot of engage with the Kai'Sa Rel already. I think a little bit more engage wouldn't hurt too much. So something like a Nocturne could work really well for that composition, but there's no way that gets locked in. This champ got nerfed so hard, he relies way too much of bonus AD scaling now, and his base damage is ruined.
Let's do it! I said new meta! I was wrong!
This is the most standardized meta comps ever. Gnar, Renekton, Udyr, Hecarim, Sylas, Akali, Alistar, Rel, Xayah, Kai'Sa, both these teams sticking to comfort on this new patch.
And we're just going to have to see how effective it is after the nerfs that have come through. Hecarim, you mentioned, feels like he was gutted. Maybe we see a new build, new adaptation for both these lineups. One pick I want to call out immediately, Cody picking up the Sylas again. Maybe I talk about 2019 too much. Sylas into Akali, a matchup that we've seen a million times, but if they're going to give us the old last-second swoopy swap, and that's an Akali top and a Renekton mid, then I am all about it.
I mean, Evie has played Akali in the LJL, so he has got comfort on that, but so has Arya. This would be the first time we see Arya on the Renekton, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him bust it out, because I've been watching lots of Arya's solo queue games. He has a lot of Renekton played, so a lot of comfort there. And Renekton into Sylas is better than the Akali, right? You get way more push, way more kill pressure, and way more priority. So that definitely helps him out in the early to mid stages of the game. And that does help out your jungler, in essence.
And Kadril, across the board, you see the smiles on the face. Evie looking like he's ready to have a good time here. See how solid as Akali can be on the top side of the map up against the likes of the Gnar. Gnar, a very powerful pick for Khan in our first game. Can it be the same for Bugax on the side of Gillette Infinity?
Yeah, the swap of the solo lanes from DFM basically means we're going to drop a little bit of top push and a little bit of volatility in the top side for the mid push. So that helps the Renekton and Hecarim get the mid push so they can move the sides easier. Really good sacrifice there if both your solo laners can play the Renekton. As we've seen, Renekton Flex is so powerful, especially in regions like the LPL and LCK, which we've seen it in.
Oh, Kadril. I have so many questions. The only person that I have very attentively watched play Renekton was Showmaker, and Daewon Kia by all means should have lost that game and somehow made this incredible miracle comeback. And I'm wondering what it looks like now in the hands of Arya. Because if you look back, as we keep our eyes on the jungler, as we see if any crazy level ones are going to happen, Saros was the crazy pick guy. Small champion pool, always full of crazy picks. It was the Ziggs, it was the Heimer, it was the GP mid. I like that we're getting some of that from Arya. Have to see now if he can make good on that commitment, picking up a champ like Renekton and win out in the early game.
Yeah, he definitely has a winning lane matchup, but Renekton obviously really strong in the early to mid stages of the game, does fall off in the late stages of the game. But Arya, I think he's one of the strongest players on DFM alongside Steel. I think this is one of his bread and butter picks, despite not playing it in the LGL. It's something that he's been playing a lot in solo queue. Lots of comfort. I wouldn't be surprised to see him push in these waves play with Steel, move to sides. Effie doesn't even have flash on the Akali, so definitely to cover that. But there's a lot of aggression on the bot side. 2 engaged supports, Xayah versus Kai'Sa.
And just watching, we kind of expected crazy level 1s in the previous game. There wasn't anything too nuts. I think Steel, of course, a player we're going to watch. Also Solid Snake, less because of who they are as players and more because of the champions that they've opted to pick up here. 2 champions we expected to kind of fall away when it came to priority, seeing them once again.
Yeah, 2 comfort champs. And you know the comfort that we have on the side of the map is bot lane. White Lotus and Yutapon, the veterans, the staples for these teams. Picking up comfort, you got the Kai'Sa for Yutapon, the Xayah for White Lotus. These champs are the top 2 most played for both of these players. We expected Varus, we expected Jinx, we saw a Jhin already, but both these players are the veterans, the legends of their regions. And we'll have to see how they progress the game to carry, because yes, Yutapon has more agency with the champion that he has to find engages and find picks, but White Lotus has a lot of scaling, and he can be very reliable in the late stages of the games.
And frankly, when we talk about both these teams and the way that they love to force fights and force skirmishes, it's always a pleasure to see them on champions that enable them to do that. And with an Alistar and a Rell in the bottom lane, that is going to be what we expect. For now, Renekton, unsurprisingly, has push on level 1. Things maybe get a little bit easier for Sylas at level 3, but still going to be a pretty difficult lane matchup for Cody. And Cody, not always the strongest laner, even if he can contribute a lot to Gillette Infinity in team fights.
Yeah, he has a lot of good ults to take away, though. He has a Renekton ult, the Akali ult, the Hecarim ult. Even things like the Rell ult can be useful in these fights when you have a Mega Gnar. So we'll have to see how he uses those in fights. The mid push will be contested. Cody actually winning out on these trades.
Quick, level 3 immediately
That's
goes
a solo
in.
kill!
First blood for Cody, not just about the Zoe. Makes his mark on the Sylas
He's
too.
been playing so many control majors, picks the Sylas, gets counterpicked by a Renekton flex, gets the solo kill. Arya, we talked about Arya, we hyped him up, we said he's the key for the team, he has a winning lane matchup, but that's a solo kill for Cody, and that's huge for Gillette Infinity.
Sadly for Arya, he is not the first time he's been solo killed by a Sylas we've seen on stage, so have to track how he can do, what he can do to adapt. Of course, Cody's going to back now, spend all that gold that he earned, holds onto his TP, as Arya's just going to have to hold on to this wave, and that means Solid Snake gets free access to the crab. Everything going swimmingly for Gillette Infinity.
And a really smart play there from Cody on the follow-up after the solo kill. What he did was he hard traded onto Arya, forced out his potions, because he knows he's going to TP back anyway, so the health that he loses in the fight, as long as he doesn't die, is meaningless. So now he's going to TP back full health with potions, and Arya, already a little bit low, might have to use a potion. So really good adaptation there. Lots of pressure in mid now for Infinity. We'll see if both junglers can use this kind of unexpected solo kill in mid and adapt in the game as it progresses, because both junglers have traded crabs and both are going to opposite sides of the map again.
And this is something we talked about. Whenever you compare regions, you never know if you're just going to see a difference in laning ability. Now, Arya, maybe it was just a single slip-up, but it's something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on as we go further into this matchup. Meanwhile, on the top side, sort of as expected, Bugax has top lane push, but he's not winning out in CS. Effie doing a very good job picking up those creeps.
Yeah, it looked really rough from in the early stages, but once Akali gets a couple levels, she can start to contest the push on bouncing waves, she can start to trade aggressively. And Cody actually saved TP, so he ran back to lane, the wave was in a good state, he has TP advantage in mid, which is huge. If he takes a bad trade, TP back, Arya's the one on the back foot. If there's a play in bot side, TP down there. DFM is the one on the back foot because of the numbers disadvantage.
And you're right, it's a good thing to point out. Level 6 is going to be a very big deal in this laning phase. Arya gets it first, maybe he has a brief window to maximize on trades. Missing that though, and he's still going to go for the play. Meanwhile, bot lane also getting aggressive. Yutapon, that's the turn back from White Lotus. That's the chain CC. Kazu, what are you doing? White Lotus takes it back.
Blunder in the bot side as well for DFM. Ackerman finds the engage, and Ackerman voted outstanding rookie in the LLA for Infinity. He is one of the playmakers, one of the aggressive supports that we will see at this tournament. Ackerman finds his window, finds the engage, and that's a 2v2 kill in bot. Solo kill in mid. This early game's perfect for Infinity.
And now Steel just in the mid lane trying to force this lane out so Arya can get a reset off. Things going very, very well. And I think we have to talk about it again. You already called it out, but Ackerman, a player that we have to watch. Outstanding rookie, such a young player, 7.8 KDA. Of course, his stats are fantastic. They are the team that won their region, but now you're seeing it come to fruition on the international stage. Enemy team goes on a sloppy engage, you immediately punish.
Yeah, he's a key player to get the ball rolling early. Part of majority of the kills, and this engage, Kazu's the one who pulled the trigger. Ackerman's the one that said, okay, thumbs up, I'll turn it, and they get a 2v2 kill. Solo kill in mid, 2v2 kill in bot. Infinity are taking over this early game. We expected it to be about mid jungle, but in essence, it's just about mid bot side here. So we'll see how the game progresses, because both junglers just kind of full clearing at this point.
Solid Snake also pulling ahead in the jungle matchup, and one thing to note about the Hecarim is his clear is just not going to be as fast as it once was, and Ward is spotting them out, however, so a little bit of information the Detonation Focus Me can get back that they can use to their advantage as Steel is on the bottom side. That said, Maybe just kind of holding on in the top lane right now.
This is what we've seen from Ackerman in the LLA, just roaming out of bot side, level 4, level 5, trying to snowball the game, progress the game, help out the top side of the map, help out your mid laner. He does get spotted, but what he's done for his team is crucial. He's got a pink in the enemy jungle, gotten vision for his top and mid, and now what they can do is they can push in their lanes depending on where the jungler is. If he's not showing top side, he's obviously bot side. If we see him top side, then we know he's there. So, by process of elimination, they should be able to track Steel a lot easier.
But will this be punished? Steel and Kazu waiting in the darkness. White Lotus, no level 6 quite yet. If he gets it, much easier for him to survive. But here comes Steel. Ultimate can't come in. White Lotus, where is he going to go? Waiting to flash. That's the knockback initially. But Steel still tanking the tower. He has to back away. And DFM, a bit of a fumble there on the dive. Feels like they could have tried to set up a little bit cleaner.
They knew that they had to pull the trigger now because Ackerman would be back on the bot side. The wave didn't crash, so Steel was tanking the whole tower. He forced White Lotus's flash, but he knew if he ulted in, it would have been a 1-for-1 trade at best for DFM because Kazu also got chunked out a lot from the tower shot. That could have been a disaster for DFM. Good idea to call it off, but a questionable play is if he's going aggressive topside.
Doesn't connect on the E, though. Big loss of damage. Overall, very positive trade. Still has the Ignite up and available. And certainly now that Akali's level 6, she has a lot more kill pressure onto Bugax whenever he is mini-Gnar, but doesn't quite go the way that Evie wants it to.
Yeah, that'll relieve Bugax a lot in this lane because the Akali ult is quite a long cooldown. And Solid Snake's the one on the bot side now. He can start up Drake if he wants. Steel has no Ghost. He has bot push. Maybe he wants to look for a neutral objective here, but no. He's running mid. Arya has flash and ultimate. Maybe they can look for it, but it's very risky.
PvE gameplay, that was day one key of Cloud9, Caedrel. We're here for the kills. We said these teams were going to force. They're going to force. Now we go. Fight immediately kicking off. Arya going to have to use the ultimate soon to try to make his way out of this one, but Soul Tank on the way in. Can't use the Renekton ult before he gets taken down. Cody Fear just barely able to make it out alive. Solid Snake comes in to save the day just in time.
Fight on top side, though.
Evie going to be in trouble. Ignite now ticking. One more auto. Needs the empowered. Ooh. Minion body blocks the boulder. That surely would have finished the job.
Yeah, definitely would have. I think Effie would have died there if the boulder hit him. Gets blocked by the creep. And if he had the ultimate there, perhaps he could have got the kill. Bugax playing to his limits there. But Cody just about gets the Dominus ult off from the CC. As Evie just TPs back to the top lane, sorry. And no one actually picked up the Drake. I thought Infinity kind of had a free dragon there. Bot push, mid push. They could have just opted into a neutral objective, but no, they don't decide to take it. And Steel's the one to pull the trigger on the neutral objective train first, starts up this Herald.
That's going to be a big deal if it's not contested, if it's not traded back. You can see Kazu, though, is moving up just to make sure that it does go into their favor. That means that Yutapon is going to sacrifice a little bit on the bottom side, a bit more vulnerable, as though level 6 has a lot of safety, has the heal as well, so he should be okay. And Solid Snake, consistent wards on this top side Gromp have given so much information over to Dead FM.
Yep, spotted out Ackerman on the roam. Now it's spotted out Solid Snake when they start up this Herald. And the trade-offs on bot side, though.
Here we go immediately. Yutapon is going to have to be forced to ult away. Going for the last auto. Feathers fly. Yutapon just making it out, but barely. They're going to be able to grab a few plates here in the exchange, but Yutapon holding on to his life at the cost of all of his major cooldowns.
This is the trade-off of Kazu showing on the top side. Good identification from Ackerman. Pulls the trigger, forces Yutapon's ult and summoners at the cost of nothing. He still has his ultimate up, so they can definitely find a re-engage when they want to, but Steel's on the bot side. I'm not sure if he got spotted. I think he did.
Steel just trying to force Solid Snake spots him, but Solid Snake pulling further and further ahead. They have to make this play work or it'll turn against them. Going in immediately onto White Lotus. They know that the ultimate is gone and they are here to punish. DFM strike back.
Steel run past all his camps and gets the fight on bot side. He knew Infinity wanted to push out the next wave, but they used all their fighting tools to try and dive Yutapon and force his summoner. So now Yutapon can push out this bot wave. He's relieved a lot here, and he'll get a good base on the bot side where they've been struggling after this 2v2 kill. Hang on here. They're pushing here with the Herald. They don't have too much HP to work with, so I think this is just going to be 2 plates.
2 plates is something. You can see massive deficit in the jungle, 77 to 61. Huge camp lead over to the side of Solid Snake. So Steel making that play work is huge for the side of DFM. Overall, though, Caedrel, for now, while the gold is pretty close, it does feel like Gillette and Infinity have been consistently coming out on top in most of these plays. This is the first one that really feels like it went in favor of DFM.
Yeah, Steel doesn't even have the ultimate here, but he knows Infinity's pushed up, trying to get that second plate on the tower. You can see the top of your screen. They do end up getting it here, the plus 160, but just skips his camp. Steel doesn't even try to start up his blue or Gromp. He instantly runs to the bot side. He knows that he can get there first before Solid Snake, who he spotted on the crab above him. And good identification there from DFM to get a kill onto Yutapon. But right now, Infinity still have the gold lead. No one's really started up the Dragon, and the Herald usage was poor. So DFM, they haven't really found a way to crack this game open. Infinity still in the lead.
And you can see both supports just fishing for these big plays. Sadly for Kazu, still only level 5, a lot less lethal there overall. As we get later and later into the game, we're going to have to track this. Both of these teams love to fight. We've said it already. They love to force big plays. Bugak's now going to be in trouble. Looks like Arya's waiting to see who's going to tank the tower. They're going to try to trade it back and forth. TP now being used. They're just instantly going to one-shot Bugak. Solid Snake. Going to try to get something back. Cody on the way in, but it's just too little too late. Well played by DFM.
Really, really good play there from DFM. Arya using the Dominus to flash, get the W, get the killing blow onto Bugak. To make it even worse, Solid Snake ran top to cover, and Cody had to TP in, and they got nothing. So DFM fighting back in this early game. Arya definitely making up for what happened in the level 3. Has a CS lead, did get the kill top now, so he has the tools he needs to start pushing forwards in this mid game.
Exactly what DFM needed as well. So rookie player makes a bit of a mistake. Cody happy with the solo. They look to be pretty comfortable. I imagine the reset here for White Lotus will result in his mythic item.
Sort of 1-3-1 comp with the Akali Renekton on one side, the Gnar Sylas on the other, and then hard engage on the bot side of the map. So they can pull the trigger on a numbers advantage at the click of a finger, and they're going to look to push out the sides and contest them. So whichever solo lanes get ahead to the mid stage of the game just makes the game a lot easier for them. They can push out the sides like we saw Khan do last game and collapse on these neutral objectives first. So that's definitely what both these teams are focusing on. But Dragon is still up. 12 minutes in the game. No one's taken Dragon yet. Maybe DFM want to look for it now.
No, they're not in.
No, they want to go for the crab. It's a bit dangerous. Infinity's around. They might even contest this. Oh!
Cody can walk down. Take it away.
Takes away the crab.
Happy to have that one. But I agree. A bit odd not to see any priority on this objective. That said, curious to see if Detonation Focus may want to keep forcing these kind of big plays onto side lanes, trying to use any advantages that they have to roam out. They've been very good at coordinated skirmishes and coordinated engages domestically. You saw some of that on the top dive, but now Infinity, they got the crab for free, stole that one away, and now they're going to take the dragon as well. DFM not feeling ready to contest that one.
Yeah, I think Infinity had loads of windows to take this dragon. They are going to end up picking it up at 13 minutes in the game. That means the Dragon Soul is quite a way away, you know, 28, 29 minutes, almost 30 minutes perhaps, depending on how fast they take these next dragons, is where we're looking at the next Dragon Soul to come in, which is quite late in the game, which gives DFM a lot of time to stall if they fall behind. It just naturally slows the game down. But DFM on the cross map, moving with their mid jungle, like we said in draft. They want to get their mid jungle, get the mid push, move to side, snowball the top side of the map. Bugak is going to get pushed in. There's no wave just yet, but they're trying to crash it in here now. He's pushing it in. Steals here, Arya's here. Solid Snakes read the play, but it's a 2v3.
Bugak's going to be in trouble. They're just going to instantly one-shot him. Solid Snake, there's just nothing to do. Udyr, a very powerful champion, but he should not have walked up to find the stun. Immediate double kill for the side of DFM.
And this is the difference of having a mid-jungle holding hands and being buddies in the early stages of the game. They move together to the top side. It's already a numbers advantage. Solid Snake has to cover on his own. Cody had to base, which innately led to another dive on this top side. Evi's really far ahead on this Akali already. Like we said, when it gets to the side lanes, this is going to be dangerous for Infinity.
And while some of the individual plays in the laning phase certainly went in the favor of Gillette Infinity, the team play around the top side for DFM has been so incredibly clean. The dive threat from an Akali, Renekton, Hecarim is unstoppable. Poor Bugak, the second he is Mininar, he is a dead man walking.
Yeah, absolutely one shot from the Renekton and the Hecarim, but look at what Infinity have done. They swapped the map up. Bugak's base, go bot side. Cody pushed out mid, goes top side, and White Lotus and Ackerman, they're the ones moving from bot to mid. So what they've done is they've pulled the trigger for the 1-3-1 already to stop these dives happening on the top side of the map. They want to slow the game down. They want to make sure the solo laners stop getting dove, and the way to do that is to put your bot lane mid. You can see White Lotus pushing in Arya. That means that he can't roam towards the top side, and look at the vision around mid on the top side of the map. They already have full vision. So Ackerman plays towards, he based, now he's back out on the map, and Infinity have pulled the trigger on the 1-3-1. I think DFM might need to match it soon.
Probably need to, but at the same time, while we're still on bits and pieces from the side of the Infinity solo laners, we're already finishing mythic items for both Evi and Arya. Stridebreaker.
And Utapon.
Yeah, it's...
And Steel. Everybody. 4 of them picked up, and Infinity just have components. And it looks like they're matching the 1-3-1. Utapon's come mid, Eevee's matching bot side onto Bugak, so that's not allowed Infinity to push out and get control of the map. DFM respond well.
Let's see what DFM want to do with this. They have item advantage, got strong champions, still losing out in jungle CS overall, but otherwise the gold completely in their favor. 1,000, only the Drake balancing it out a little bit for the side of Gillette Infinity. No towers have gone down yet. In Caedrel, we said it once, we said it probably 3 times, but I'm going to say it for a 4th. Both of these teams like to force. I am waiting to see when we get the scrappy 3v3s, 4v4s, or 5v5s. Will it be around something like Herald? For now, DFM have just been letting these objectives go, seemingly totally unconcerned with forcing a fight now.
Yeah, dropping the neutral objectives for tempo, which means Steel is on the bot side, which means Bugak is vulnerable. Maybe they can get a kill and a tower cracked open. Arya doesn't have TP, Cody does. He could match it here.
Bugax Mininar, the Rage is going to start to stack up. He's going to hop out back, but Evvie just walking in. It should be an easy kill pack. He just doesn't have the time to transform.
And this is the trade-off. This is the trade-off of neutral objectives, using your time on the map. It's called tempo, using it for the neutral objectives. Instead, DFM want to focus on gold, getting their solo laners ahead. They look to get Bugax again. 3 deaths on the dive. Steel playing really well around Efi, and he's going to get the bot tower as well.
And Evvie now, 301, Sorc shoes, level 12. This is brutal, because while he's been kind of contained maybe a strong word here against Bugax, he hasn't gone into a fight against White Lotus yet.
Evvie is 2,000 gold up at 16 minutes in, and he's going to get bot tower as well, so he's going to be even further ahead. First tower of the game.
Maybe in mid-game fights, Cody can take away the Akali ult, could outvalue him, but not at an item disadvantage. This is going to be so very difficult for the side of Gillette Infinity. Any kind of scrappy skirmish. And also, you've got a Kai'Sa Rell still. Instant side lane target takedowns. If they want to split into a 1-3-1, very easy for Yutapon and Kazu to try to punish that. This is a difficult game for Gillette Infinity to play out. Good news is, White Lotus at least has priority in the mid lane. With the power of the passive on the Xayah, very easy for him to get push.
Yeah, they have the mid push. They need to start using it to sides. I think Solid Snake needs to start matching these plays. They have double TP up. Maybe they want to cross map. You know, if Evvie's getting the dives in bot with Steel, then maybe they can look to dive Arya on the top side, trade the towers, trade and cross map a bit more instead of dropping neutral objectives for gold on the side of DFM. But the items are being complete. Evvie's building towards the Zhonyas. He's almost 2 items on this Akali, and Bugax hasn't even finished his Strikebreaker yet.
It's a truly difficult position to be in, Kadril. And at this stage of the game, of course, important to note, you've seen these junglers in playoffs. Whatever region you've watched an Udyr and a Hecarim go toe-to-toe. Of course, 20% move speed taken off the Chem Tank active. Hecarim nerfed a lot in terms of his damage numbers. But remember, overall, Udyr, a walking auto attack based stun. Hecarim still a massive AoE teamfight ultimate. So as you move later, going to be harder for Solid Snake to find advantages.
Interesting swap up on the map here. They've taken Evvie and put him on the top side to match Cody and match Solid Snake, and now they're still playing bot side. I wonder if they think he's strong enough to 1v2 the top side while they keep forcing on the bot side of the map, Steel getting the dragon. Let's see if Infinity can trade top side. Look at them all moving top side. Ackerman, White Lotus, Solid Snake all running top side with this mid push. Maybe Evvie has to back off here.
Evvie just backs off though. He's not going to give anything up. So far just waiting for them to show. Both Udyr and the Sylas is going to collapse. They have the Herald if they want to use it. I imagine they might save it. They have a bit more time before it's going to expire.
Yeah, they might use it on the mid lane, but this is the cross map that they need. Trading gold for neutrals. They need to be the ones getting their solo laners ahead, and this tower for Cody will help him push out the waves to tier 2 and collapse mid first.
Total control of the bottom side though right now for the side of DFM. Cody has to be careful about stepping forward, still quite behind in terms of overall itemization.
Yeah, look at Arya. This is exactly what DFM want to do. Push in bot to tier 2 and move mid to contest the vision to make sure Infinity can't get vision in their own jungle. You'll see Cody doing the same thing, but Evvie wants to look for maybe a 1v1 here.
Cody doesn't have a ton of mana. Ignite already ticking down, going to deny any extra healing. Akali dash right back through. Where are they going? Cody ticking, burning, but he's still alive. Dashes back out to safety.
Just about survives, and Evvie does force him to flash away, does use the ultimate, but Cody still has TP. So if they want to force something, he can be active on the map. And now that Akali doesn't have Ignite, doesn't have ult, so it relieves a little bit of pressure. Cody just about survives.
Barely, and that is a big deal. Gets the Ignite out as well. Has to give up his flash though. Difficult exchange.
Now he's TPing back here because they have a mid wave coming in and they have the Herald. So using his play in top side for tempo, right? Evvie can't fight mid, he can't TP in and match this play because he has no ultimate, has no Ignite. Whereas Sylas will be just as strong, but he's TPing in as I say that, he's looking for a fight!
He's unconcerned with what you have to say. The Rell, the Hecarim combo, Solid Snake used, Attractor Pell already procced initially. That's the follow-up, Kazu with a clean engage, it's an absolute meat grinder. Renekton slicing and dicing through the team, Evvie on the backside, but Kazu will go down. Meganar coming in, Bugax, can they turn this back? It looks like the answer is no. 2-for-1 trade in favor of DFM.
Dracos, I thought there was no way they would take that fight without the Akali ult and the Akali Ignite, but Kazu finds them all. He gets such a good engage. He does drop 2 kills for DFM. They punish the push. They might be able to trade this mid-tier 1 that they lost for the mid-tower of Infinity. Take it down.
Firing back every time Infinity find a play. Detonation Focus Me get one back in return. 7 kills to 3 in their favor, about a 2k gold lead, and now the towers will be tied up. Well played by the side of DFM.
Yeah, you've seen lots of cross-mapping happening here. You can see the bot side vision for DFM, pinks on the entrances of the Raptors, the same on the top side of the map, blue wards on the entrances of DFM's jungle, but the 5v5 happens, DFM find it. Something's going on the top side here. I think Bugax is trying to escape from Evvie, but he looks like he's fighting it. Evvie, he ulted in, I think.
Going forward, going to go for the second alt proc, now goes invisible. Bugax is trying to run out to safety. If you can get Meganar, maybe he can throw Evvie back, but is going to walk away. Evvie does not want to overextend, overstay his welcome.
And Evie will heal up on the creeps. He has the Omnivamp, but Bugax is staying around. No ultimate, no ignite. Evie's going to back off. And Bugax won't find this kind of 1v1 kill.
Cody.
But on the bot side,
Now going in. He's going to find the snare. Ackerman, Solid Snake looking for the setup, but they don't have a wave here. They have to pull the trigger on the dive soon.
the wave's coming in though.
Arya just going to step forward, though, into Cody. The stun does now connect. He's trying to turn it back. The healing is there. Arya now dashing out to safety. Double dash, stride breaker, not enough. Ackerman finds the kill.
Ackerman takes him down, flashes in, and now they're going to get this bot tier 1. This is the cross maps we need to see from Infinity. Start diving them back. Kind of trade punch for punch. You can see Evie's trying to all in topside. Let's just dive bot. We saw Kazu towards the topside trying to defend the play. So let's make our own play. But we've got the replay here. INF, I thought that DFM wasn't going to contest this. They popped the Herald. The TP comes in, but Kazu's engage was key in this fight. He found almost everyone with this Magnet Storm, and from there Arya flashes in, gets a massive Q, and they just AoE them down. Kazu eventually falling on the backside.
Yeah, Kazu trading his life, but in the new Axe Effect replay, it was everything DFM needed to come out on top. Still only a 2-for-1, but ultimately a positive for the team overall. And we saw in our first game, small gold leads build very quickly if you can keep forcing in the way that Damwon Kia did.
Yeah, and DFM and INF are going toe-to-toe here in these dives. DFM slightly ahead in gold, a dragon apiece. Both side lane towers have fallen. Both mid lane towers have fallen. We'll have to see how this game progresses.
And of course, again, reminder, both of these teams not expected to make it out of the group, but if they want to make the miracle happen, they cannot afford to lose to their direct competition. We expect Gillette Infinity and Detonation Focus Me to be going toe-to-toe. If one of these teams finds a win here and then can find an upset over Damwon, over Cloud9, it could be the start of a Cinderella story, you know, that we've only seen a few times before in League of Legends history.
Definitely possible, though. Anything is possible, but these teams look very even at almost 23 minutes in the game. The Baron is up. Both teams have a pretty quick Baron with the Kai'Sa and with the Xayah. Both teams have one dragon apiece. The Soul will be very far away for either of these teams, but maybe they want to prioritize them because this game could go late, but we'll have to see how the team fights go because there's no TP for Evie. He's pushing out the top side map, but he is collapsing now. Maybe they want to contest his mid push. TP from Cody is going mid. I think this is all for the Dragon Dracos.
Ready and committed. Knowing that this game could go to Soul, Mountain would be a massive game changer for either side. Ackerman throwing out the Hex Flash, but DFM not feeling like they have to commit quite yet.
It's all about vision in mid-wave, so DFM playing slow.
Kazu, though?
He's got a big flank. He is behind Infinity. Maybe he can find a key engage again, but it's going to be a mid-wave contest. But because Kazu is on the flank, it means DFM might have to give up the mid-push.
He's now stepping up. They've spotted him now. They're just going to try to collapse on him before the fight can even kick off. They're going to try to one-shot Kazu and make sure that he can't get anything done. But in the meantime, Evie is stepping forward. INF peel back flawlessly to make sure they give up nothing. They take Kazu, and now they're ready to take the fight. Evie on the retreat, but here comes Cody. Second proc of the ultimate. He's waiting. He goes golden. He buys a bit more time. Arya trying to get out. Double dashes, but goes right back in. Cody on a tear. That's a double kill. And Bugax back for a little bit of revenge. The triple for Cody. He's looking to finish the job. That's the slow. Does not connect on the Gnar. Yutapon running for his life. The heal to take him out to safety, but it is too little. It is too late. That is the shutdown for Gillette Infinity. They take the fight.
DFM overreach in the fight. Steel engaging on one side, Kazu getting caught on the other. White Lotus was able to peel back, and from there, Cody, MVP of the fight, takes away the Akali ult, chases them all down. DFM run for the hills, but it looks like Infinity's going to get the Baron, and the game has swung into their favor.
Incredible. Kedro, I cannot wait to see the replay on that one. Kazu, he thought he found the flank. He thought he had wandered around to the side of the map where there would be no vision, but a single control ward and an instant response from Gillette Infinity spells victory in that fight.
Yeah, and they're walking out to the bot side of the map. You know, when Infinity take this Baron, they've used all their tempo tops and they have to base, so he's trying to get some vision bot side, but we'll watch this again. 4 versus 5 on the mid wave. Cody's around, but Kazu comes from the side, and he gets spotted on the pink ward, like you said, on the control ward, and from there they turn on Kazu. Look at Steel. He tries to engage onto White Lotus alone, but the follow-up's not there. Evie can't catch up. Ackerman peels, and by then Steel's in tower range, so from this point, Cody takes down Kazu, takes away Evie's ultimate, and then he chases him down.
Such a clean follow-up from the Sylas. Using everything, item, actives, abilities, maximizing the value out of this champion. Part of the reason we saw this champion mid lane up against Akali so often is that Sylas, once he steals an Akali ult, is just a better Akali.
That animation cancel on the chains was so nice to watch. Uses the E and then uses the R2 of Akali and then uses the second E2 to cancel the animation to get onto the backline. Really well played from Cody there. And now Infinity with the Baron, 4-1, 4 members topside, 1 person mid, they're sieging.
We went from a dead even game to now 4K rather in the favor of Gillette Infinity. How much more can they get with this Red Bull Baron power play is the question. Tier 2s feel guaranteed when you have a Baron buff, but can they break open the base? Can DFM weather the storm?
Yeah, you're completely right. Tier 2 should fall with Baron. I think the first Baron is normally good to take down Tier 2s, but on Tier 3s it gets a lot more difficult. It's really hard to push them down because once you push these waves in, DFM have such a short route between towers to defend them. They don't have that much wave clear though. They have very short ranged wave clear, so that means Infinity can start chunking these towers down.
Neither of these teams, really, when you look at it, have a ton of reliable wave clear. There are no control mages on either side. So for now, for Gillette Infinity, they just get to walk into the base. DFM do not have the tools to hold on. TP could be massive, though. Here comes the Akali. That's immediately Kazu getting the fight kicked off. The stolen Hecarim ult. Where's it going to go? Xayah going into the air, trying to hold on. White Lotus still living for now. Ghost Golden buys a bit more time, but Arya is here in the midst of everyone. He's going to finish at least one. Goes back in. Bugax, eyes on him, but the stun is there to deny any potential follow-up. Evie off to the side, but he's just hitting Solid Snake. It is not a priority target. It is not the fight that DFM want. It is the fight that will win Gillette Infinity this game. Baron buff backing them up, an inhibitor down. Arya holding on for dear life. The stun will not be enough. Baron buffed minions pushing in, and Gillette Infinity have done it. They will take down Detonation Focus Me in their first game of MSI 2021.
Evie's trying his best to try and defend these towers, but he's going to get taken down. The respawn's coming in for Kazu. Utapon's up in 10 seconds, but I think Infinity have done it. They have the Baron buff. They have 4 members hitting onto the Nexus. Utapon's alive now, but I don't think he can stop this siege. Really good team fights from Infinity. The double TP from DFM was too late. By then, Utapon had fallen, and from there, Infinity clean house.
And what a start for Gillette Infinity. Cody finding the solo kill in the mid lane, suffering a bit in that mid game. His top was relentlessly dove by Detonation Focus Me, but in those mid game fights, in those clutch moments, Cody showed up so clean on the Sylas in those exchanges. You talked about the animation cancels, we saw the triple kills. This man was everything the team needed him to be.
And I think you saw Infinity get the solo kill in mid, get the solo kill in bot, but from there the game slowed down for them. DFM were the ones forcing the ganks, forcing the objectives, forcing the dives on side laners, diving the tier 1s, and Infinity were just kind of falling behind, trading a dragon for a dive, but in the end, Infinity started diving back. They dove Arya, and they collapsed on the fights first.
And crazy to see, again, how quickly the story can change. You can set any expectation you want for these teams, but the people who rise up is never going to be so simple, so predictable. We talked about White Lotus, we talked about Ackerman on his side. They had a good game, they found that solo kill, but at the end of the day, this game was about Cody in the fights. Pressure continues. This was a game they had to win. If they want to make it out of groups, they need to keep finding these wins, and it only gets harder from here.
Yeah, DFM really overreaching in these fights, but Infinity punishing it well, really well played. MVP for me, Cody, definitely. That cleanup in mid was clutch, got them the Baron, got them the siege, no wave clear on the side of DFM, and they forced the fight.
Well, I think it's time to look at the Cisco Every Second Counts replay thanks to the reliable Cisco network. Kazu, of course, reacting super fast and engaging after seeing Alistar use his knockup. Even if the game wasn't a win, Kazu still found a moment to come in clutch.
Yeah, massive Magnum Storm. This is what DFM, this is what the team fight that got DFM ahead in the early mid stages of the game. This is what got them the pushing sides. But in the end, this team fight wasn't enough to get them the win. It was a really good engage from Kazu. They only really got 2 members out of that, for it was a 2-for-1 trade in the end. But that kept DFM in the game. It kept them, it allowed them to kind of trade the mid-tier 1 they lost earlier on. They got the mid-tier 1, unlocks the map, but in the end, overreached in the fights. Really well played to Infinity.
And we're going to have to see how DFM can adapt in the games to come, in the days to come. But of course, RNG versus Pentanet.gg is our next matchup, and you can check out their team's anthem and the rest of the teams competing at MSI on the official League of Legends playlist on Spotify. See more from the pros and casters of MSI and why they chose their anthems there.
I'm so glad I didn't make that bet on Euphoria with you about waxing legs for DFM winning games.
I'm sad you didn't, but that's okay. So you can win some, you lose some. For you, you mostly lose.
I lost all of them.
Yeah, it's true. Pentanet, of course, are facing a huge challenge from RNG as the music kicks off in our next game. And while we wait for that, you can check out the LCO Champions Anthem on Spotify. We're Going Home by Drake. That's a banger.
That is a banger.
And a meme.
Baby, you look mighty fine. I figured I might come your way and roll up on you with that golden ticket. Shawty, can I get your digits? Maybe we can kick it. Hey, 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 hey. Just wait till all my time is up. Just wait till all my. Just wait till all my.
Smell irresistible. The new Axe Effect.
Welcome back, everyone, to the State Farm Analyst Desk. Our next matchup is between the LCO's Pentanet.gg and LPL champions RNG, and Awoken Giant now returning to the international stage. This is the start, of course, of Group A, which only has 3 teams. It has RNG from the LPL, it has Pentanet from the LCO, and it has UOL from the LCL. All those abbreviations, sometimes it gets a little tricky. So it's incredibly important that you get off of a right foot, since the 2 best teams in the quadruple round robin get to continue on to the next stage. But for Pentanet, it might be very tricky. They're up versus RNG, and RNG won MSI back in 2018. They were on the road to the Golden Road, but fell short. And this is their first domestic title since 2018. Vedius, this is one of the most storied organizations in global League of Legends, and specifically the LPL.
It certainly is. For a very long time, there would not be an international event where RNG was not there. They, alongside EDG, were 2 of the big names, 2 of the big powerhouses that the LPL would often send internationally, and MSI. So I'm excited to see them return to the international stage, because they do indeed look a little different to the RNG that many fans may perhaps be used to seeing.
This is the lineup as we have seen it this split. Of course, the biggest thing is also that Xiaohu role swapped from the mid lane to the top lane, and Gala is stepping in that bot lane now as well. What did you make of the way they played their split, and also their eventful playoffs and booking the ticket to MSI after that?
I mean, with old name, they have new style right now, and the important thing is they have a good consistency, because their game plan is so easy. Just play on top side early game and into bot side with Gala and Ming making a lot of good plays with them. So I think they have really good chance of winning this MSI. So we need to check their consistency.
Wow, okay. Big hopes there for RNG. I love how you explained it there. In the regular season, it was actually Xiaohu who's played around Ming with a lot of roaming. In the finals, though, it turned into a bit of the Gala show on his beloved Kai'Sa. He even got the pentakill, and it really contributed to them getting the upper hand in that series versus FPX.
It certainly did. It felt like that, well, I mean, FPX even had the better of RNG prior to the finals, and they had to change up their style in the finals. They couldn't win by playing through carries top, so instead they dedicated more resources down towards the bot lane, and it paid off. I feel like that Ming and Gala really showed up, with Ming acting as some of those really crucial engages, finding fantastic plays alongside Gala, just dealing the damage and cleaning up for his team. The bot lane really stepped up when they needed to, and I think they showcased to RNG was more than just being able to play through top side. And while there are still some that question if they can be consistent in that style, I think that they have showcased that at the very least they can do it.
Yeah, I think that is a great observation. Also a good question. What did we saw in the finals, for instance, that RNG, they ran down by Nagari, right? It wasn't a great time for Xiaohu, but it didn't matter, because in the team fights, they found the right flanks. Ming was able to stop those engages coming out of Nagari when necessary. Do you think that they learned a lot from that specific playoff match that they can bring to MSI?
Yeah, RNG right now is not like classic LPL style aggressive early game skirmishes, more like calm and collected, looking for the late game team fight, trying to do some smart map rotations more than others. So, I mean, it's fun to see, because also Damwon Kia, who has huge chance to win MSI, and how they grow up as a new team style.
Because as Wooded rightly says, like, when we look at how they played domestically, it was very much through the top side. Obviously, this bot lane on your screen was super important when it came to the finals, but my expectations are that Xiaohu is still someone we're going to be talking about and paying a lot of attention to in these group stage games, because he was how they found success. I love that Wooded talked about how they were very strategic in how they played the map. Split pushing, 0-3-2, 1-3-1 was a lot of their style, roaming up towards top. They even had an Orianna top game early on in the split, like a lot of Lucian top, so I'm excited to see how flexible they can be. What do they put Xiaohu on? What is their interpretation of the meta, especially with the jungle changes? I think the RNG is going to be the one that's most tested by the shift in the meta.
I think that's a great point, because they don't have that much flexibility, in fact, when you look at the whole team and the champion picks. But Xiaohu is the one that stands out on that team. He does bring those champions that he played in the mid lane back to the top lane and has a lot of oversight over the map. Now, they are up versus Pentanet, and this is going to be a tall order. I mean, just the experience coming out of Xiaohu now combined with some of the younger players in Wei and in Cryan. What is going to be the strategy here for Pentanet, the LCO representative?
Well, it's difficult because obviously one of the big difficulties I think for Pentanet is that it is a roster comprised of largely veteran players. For many of them, this is the first time that they're ever getting to their chance at an international event. And I think the way in which they won their split was largely through an experience advantage. They were much smarter than many of their other competition. They often relied on scaling advantages and playing for late game team fights. And I think that a team like RNG is not one that you can really rely to scale into the late game. So if anyone, I'm looking at Pabu. How can Pabu find advantages in the early game? What can he do to set up Pentanet for success? And if he can challenge the likes of the mighty LPL junglers.
I mean, you've been in a position before where you were an underdog versus RNG, and Pentanet are definitely the underdogs. What advice would you give them? What strategy do you want to see from them if they want to have a chance?
I mean, when I won against RNG, no one expected, you know? So maybe they can bring some crazy stuff like Heimerdinger on the bot lane. I mean, in fact, they play really normal, like put the tanks on the top, player on the bot side. There are some question marks on their rotations, but I still think that they got enough power to compete. Like they can make some random rotations or invading as 5-man. I don't think they're ready for those crazy stuffs, you know? And I think we can actually just focus on the bot lane from Pride Eye.
Let's put it all on the line for Pentanet. The 2018 MSI champions are a massive challenge for Pentanet, who have a lot of newcomers to the international stage. Join us after the break for that match.
Your 2021 Spring Champions.
Stop it, Preventive, it just doesn't matter. Pentanet are going to Iceland.